welcome. We're really, really happy to have you. We know why you're here. You're looking for something different. There's a lot of flaw in modern psychotherapy, and people have a lot of negative experiences with it, and they feel discouraged, and they wasted time and wasted money. And we get it. The framework is a culmination of 30 years of studying conflict in relationships to bring something practical and real from all the theoretical lessons to people to help them improve all of their relationships. I'm David Wasalko, a licensed professional counselor and consultant in Chandler, Arizona, and I do this podcast with my colleague and my dear friend, Tyler Burke. And we do it for you. And we're here to empower you with a very robust set of logically connected tools inside of a system that you can apply. Welcome to the framework, where the more that you change your thinking, the more you change your life. Welcome back to the Framework Podcast, where you change your thinking, you change your life. I'm David Wasalko, therapist and consultant. We're here with my co-host and colleague and buddy and golfing flunky, Tyler Burke. Flunky, how are you, brother? Fuck off too.
All right, I'm good. Always good to be here.
You're always good to be here.
Mm-hmm.
You have, again, big things happening in your world. Do you want to share with our audience the ass kicking that you're putting on the system?
The ass kicking I'm putting on the system. We've got working on a number of different things. Heading to Maryland next week, and then coming back to put on display for some state directors and things, some new AI technology that we are releasing that could be quite pivotal, actually, for a fair amount of the long-term supports and service system.
Quite pivotal indeed. It's very exciting.
Quite pivotal.
Yeah. And for those of you who don't remember, understand that you're the architect of that very system to create the system to then change the system. It's really impressive.
And when you've got such a system in need of change, that's a pretty fun place to be.
Absolutely. Yeah.
That was the most positive way I could muster that one.
Yeah, that's quite a positive muster.
Yeah.
I compliment you on your positive muster.
There wasn't no prohibitive mustering there.
There was an affirmative muster.
Exactly.
Yeah, fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
Way to go. So
I didn't even say that. I said it's not prohibitive.
Your what hurts?
And there, I said it's not prohibitive. Like, I'm trying to avoid being prohibitive,
right?
Rather than trying to be affirmative.
Yeah, I see.
See what I did there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Put a double negation on the
Mm-hmm. Was that prohibitive?
No, I don't think. Well, maybe technically.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Straight affirmative is
yes.
good. So speaking of affirmative, last time we talked about the Reaper and when the Reaper shows up in your relationship and how to recognize it, and perhaps most importantly, what to do with it once you find it. Today, we're doing the corollary to that, which is really, there's no cool acronym for it that I could come up with, that we could come up with, but really and truly, this is clinical anecdotal experience sharing that the best relationships, the ones that endure, the ones that sustain, the ones that are thrilling for people, contain conveniently 10 different features or characteristics. I've seen this over many, many years in studying conflict. And when these things are present, you're doing really well. So from an affirmative thinking point of view, you can aspire to get to these outcomes that we're going to talk about by writing really good rules. And when you're assessing, you can stand in a place of gratitude for having a really good relationship if you're noticing that some of these things are there in a part of your relationship. We talk all the time, not all the time, but frequently about the problems that beset individuals and couples and families and the messes that we can get in. And I think it's appropriate to spend just as much time talking about what works. I'm a solution-oriented, solution-focused person. These things are not necessarily prescriptive for you. The framework is value-free. I'm not telling you what to do. But what I am telling you is that if you ask me, what are the ingredients to success in especially a marriage relationship or romantic relationship? It's going to have many, if not all of these things. So it's something to aspire to, but it's also something to express gratitude for in the moment. Take a minute and notice when things are working well. We're so good at problem identification. We're nowhere near as good as we need to be at solution identification or solution appreciation. You know, you need to be able to explain your successes with as much veracity as you explain what you think are your failures.
You know, one of the things I like about this one too is I remember years ago when I first became exposed to the rules and some of the concepts of the framework. One of the first things that I struggled with was to understand what in the hell my rules were.
Right. Yeah.
I knew most of the prohibitive ones and my bad rules because, you know, everybody around me knew those too and told me about them. But the good ones, on the other hand, I had no, it took me a minute to really start to look for them and do that. So I think this is another pretty cool tool for those folks that are looking to understand what their rules are. Maybe you'll see you're nailing one of these and realize there's some really good well-written rules behind them.
Absolutely. And I like that phrase, looking for them, because ironically, or perhaps even paradoxically, a lot of our really good rules exist in the blind arena. And we don't want those good rules to be happy accidents. You know, we want them to then become in the open arena so that they can be intentional, so that they can be replicated in addition to being celebrated or just standing in a place of gratitude that they are there.
That might be my new favorite definition of my golf game is a happy accident. Randomly, of course.
Randomly, of course. Occurring stratified over time. Okay. The first one is likely to piss off a number of people.
Let's get it.
Which is one of my favorite things to do, I think. Really happy, successful. Oh, look, and I even said it. Successful couples focus on satisfaction, not happiness. So now you hear all the time, probably every day, if not close to every day, we just want to be happy. I just want to be happy. We want you to be happy. And I say, if you want to be successful in a relationship, stop focusing on happiness. Start focusing on satisfaction. Now, why on earth would I say that?
Do you think it's easier to quantify?
What?
Satisfaction over happiness.
Absolutely, yes. And the mistake I think that people make when conceptualizing of happiness is that they think it's a destination. I'm going to get there. I'm going to reach this point, this mythological point of happiness, and then what? Presumably stay there. It's my thinking that happiness is an experience. You experience happiness here and there, now and then, and it's a lovely, wonderful thing. But if that's a constant state that you're seeking, I think you're aiming in the wrong direction. And I think it's a veiled, prohibitive thought.
Well, I know you talk about feelings aren't facts a lot.
Indeed.
It seems to be in a similar boat.
It is in a similar boat. And I also talk about let's focus on process, not outcome. So when you have an outcome focus, oftentimes what you're doing is you're mortgaging your happiness or delaying your satisfaction for some point in the future when this happens, this is taken care of, this is okay, and that's not the way to go about doing it. Once a desired outcome is known and selected, that's the moment you stop thinking about it and focusing on it. That's the moment you intentionally shift thinking about process, because it is your detailed, intentional focus on process that's going to let outcome take care of itself. And by the way, we're dynamic people, not static people. So happiness is going to ebb, flow, and evolve just like we do. So the real important thing is to focus on satisfaction. And to your point, yes, that's a measurable metric. And in fact, one of the first things that I do in getting to know a client, whether it's therapeutically or consultatively, is ask 7-point Likert scale satisfaction questions. How satisfied are you with this? How satisfied are you with this? And we can make an assessment of satisfaction, which then helps us identify what's working well and what needs improvement, right?
What are different words for satisfaction? Like I'm thinking about need fulfillment or needs being met.
Mm-hmm. Well, a person's quite satisfied if they have a higher probability or, a higher percentage of needs being met. They're less satisfied when that's not happening.
Mm-hmm.
But the other benefit really of asking satisfaction questions is it keeps us out of false dichotomies and it keeps us out of judgments, right? So literally, if I'm doing a sexual history, if I say to a person, how often do you masturbate? They're going to be like, oh, and that's scary, or that's potentially could be judged or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But if I say, how satisfied are you with your masturbatory practices? There's no implicit idea that there's a right or wrong answer. It's simply a generation of the person's sense of their satisfaction with that particular thing.
I just do it every time I want to be happy. Is that...
Yeah. So there we go. That's, forget what I said about the number one rule. Just, be happy all the time. And right. Yeah, absolutely. So can you see why happiness would be very difficult to consistently be in pursuit of or to evaluate in a relationship?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, how often are you really happy? And is that a condition for successful relationship? Or is it better to really think about your satisfaction in terms of, okay, I'm satisfied at this level, I'm satisfied at this level, which means I'm allowing myself to improve, I'm allowing myself to grow, I'm allowing myself to evolve, and I'm not putting this terminal destination of happiness upon this condition upon this, that we then have this pressure to sort of sustain.
I am still, maybe I'm stuck on the words a bit on this one, because at first glance, when I hear satisfied and happy, and I compare those two, there's a big part of me when I think of being satisfied is like, oh, I have enough. I have just enough. It's almost like bare minimum is met. I'm satisfied. As opposed to when I think about happy, it's like, shit, I got fucking a lot or something. It's like beyond enough. It's or something, you know what I mean?
Not quite. Keep going.
You want different words for that? It's the, I'm just telling you what my initial thoughts are on this, not being argumentative at all, of like, because they seem like a very similar concept at first glance, or at when you first probably hear those two terms being compared.
Okay.
For the general public.
Sure.
Mr. Scientific over there.
Well, so one thing that may help explicate this is to think about the difference between static and dynamic. Happiness ends up becoming a static concept because it's a destination, it's a place we reach, it's a thing that we achieve, and then you're there, right? But what do we know about that? It's transient, right? It's really not something that is sustainable long term. And it is also very much a feeling. It's an experience, right? So if we impose upon a partner, for example, that it's their responsibility to make us happy, then we're putting a pressure on them to get to this destination and then stay there. as if it exists sort of in a vacuum, and real life doesn't function that way. If we look at satisfaction, far from being static, that's actually dynamic, because our satisfaction levels can change as long as we're at a certain threshold. And if we're above that threshold, we're sort of winning. If we're below that threshold, what does that tell us? It tells it that there is some unmet needs or some lower levels of satisfaction, which then sets the stage for needs advocacy, for rule proposals, for negotiations to increase that level of satisfaction. So it allows for things to be more reality-based and more dynamic, as opposed to the fantasy base of a static place of destination that we finally get, and then we just stay in this place of blissfulness.
Mm-hmm.
That's Disney. That doesn't happen in reality. But it is an experience in reality that is here and there, and is often the result of a multiplicity of different things that coalesce at one time. Right? So it's really about, what are we accidentally imposing upon one another as a couple in terms of expectations or in terms of pressures? I can't make you happy.
Amen, brother.
Right? But I can contribute to or detract from your levels of satisfaction, as can you. But happiness is an experience. And it comes and it goes, and it ebbs and it flows. And it's a beautiful thing. It's a wonderful thing. But if we're imposing upon this the criteria that we need to stay in that blissful place, and we're evaluating a partner as to their ability to put us there or keep us there, that's an extraordinary amount of pressure. And it's really exiting reality and entering a fantasy world.
You know, you made the statement of accidentally imposing that it's the other person's job to make us happy.
Yeah.
I think that's super intentional by a lot of folks.
Yeah, speak to that. I agree.
Well, I mean, I've heard it a lot and I've experienced it. And I've even had experienced that and projected that on people too.
Mm-hmm.
You know, before I got informed. Anyway. So, you know, I just think it's very, very common because you hear it all the time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you do. And think about the implicit pressure, let's say, when a parent says to a child, I just want you to be happy. So what is the implicit messaging there? It's like, you know, I'll feel better about you when you finally unfuck yourself and get to this spot and you can declare yourself happy. We just want you to be happy, right? Well, okay, great. That's lovely. But what happens when I get there and then something happens and I'm no longer as happy, or something changes or something, you know? Happiness is not a destination. Happiness is an experience. If we impose upon the relationship the expectation that it's a destination to which we need to arrive and stay there, there's an enormous amount of pressure, and it really isn't a reality-based thing. But satisfaction certainly is.
All right. I like it.
All right. Number 2, the most successful couples that I've worked with, who have had long-term, sustained, satisfying relationships with several moments of happiness, put each other in the front row and put everything else in the back row. And a great example of how this gets fouled or messed up is when the couple has kids and they say, my kids are my most important thing. And I say that's a horrible mistake to make. It really should be, in a heterosexual context, husband and wife, mom and dad, however that's configured, that should be in the front row. That's the only thing that should be in the front row. And everything else moves back a row. And one reason why is because at 7 years and at 15 years of age of childhood marriage, when people come in for therapy, One of the things that is very common that has happened is that the kids have become the number one priority. The marriage relationship has taken a back seat or several back seats. And all of a sudden we don't know one another very well. We don't get along with one another very well. We're really focused on the kids. We're really focused on the career. And then the next thing you know, we're strangers, right? Or if we talk about the empty nest phenomenon and why that's such a horrendous struggle for so many people, it's because they permitted too many things to be in the front row and they allowed their marriage relationship to come back several rows. Now the kids are gone and people are going through an identity crisis, a relationship crisis. They all of a sudden say that they're not happy, right? And then they come in to therapy with the marriage a dumpster fire and the wheels are falling off. And now we got to make sure and fix this because, we don't know what to do. So the best thing that you can do is to make a commitment to ensuring that you and your spouse are in the front row. Everything else moves back a row. Now, sometimes, obviously, the kids are the priority in this situation, or work is the priority in this situation, right? That's reality. But as a general state of things, the top priority should be that the marriage relationship is in the front row. Everything else back one.
It's interesting. At 7, I've heard it's like a 7-year rule or something, right?
Yeah,
Like that?
7-year itch.
And that's actually true?
It's a thing.
That's a thing.
It's a thing. Kids or no kids, by the way.
Really?
Exacerbated with kids, but as most things
exacerbate everything.
They are because they're assholes.
I thought that was like just some bullshit.
No, it's actually a real thing.
Really?
Yeah. Between 6 and 7 years. Yeah.
All right. Well, I got about 18 months or so.
Well, this is another reason why.
No, not that long.
No,
longer than that.
Yeah, longer than that.
2 years. I don't know. A while.
And that 7-year itch thing, if we're going to go down that road for just a minute, is also very, very much a function of being static in the rules and not being dynamic in the rules, right? So that's the story I tell you that I always get. One version or another, when a couple comes in for therapy, they say, when we first got together, everything was great. We talked all the time. We fucked all the time. Everything was amazing. But that was the honeymoon phase. Now it's 6 years later, we've got these kids and we're miserable, some version of that. And to that, I say, yep, I get it. And I understand what you're saying. And I want to tell you that the honeymoon phase is a myth. It does not exist. What the honeymoon phase actually is a period of active rule negotiation. And then what happens is we stop doing that. We go from being dynamic to static, and then each person grows and evolves individually over time with the occasional leap. And we're out here, but we're functioning by these rules here, and things are all fucked up, right? So our rule negotiation process needs to be dynamic, not static, because us as people are dynamic and not static. And that's why I say our meta rule above all rules, should be we commit to being perpetually open to the negotiation process. Interestingly, that is going to contribute to satisfaction much more than anything else. And it's going to solidify this idea that we are the number one priority in the family system. It's not that kids don't matter. It's not that kids aren't important. But it is very healthy for everyone in the system to understand that the marital dyad is top priority.
I think we're just going down the list of shit that I've fucked up throughout my life. Is that
Me too.
Is this my shit top 10 list? Is that what we're doing?
No, I'll tell you by way of footnote, one of the things I used to do was I did psychological evaluations for patients in chronic pain who were needing spinal cord stimulators. And most of these people are in their 60s, 70s, even 80s, and many of them had been married 25, 35, 40 years, even 50 years. And anytime I meet somebody who says they've been married that long, I'm impressed.
Is there a correlation to chronic pain and marriage that long?
No,
Oh.
not in this story. That's a different correlation altogether.
Uh-huh.
But I'm always very impressed because that's so rare. 56% of first marriages end in divorce. 65% of second marriages, 73% of third marriages end in divorce. So for that long, somebody's got something figured out. And I always made it a point, because I respected it, because I was intrigued, I wanted to learn about it. And I would ask them, what contributed to your longevity? What made you guys, so successful being together all this time? And this is one of those things that comes out, is we made each other a priority. It's interesting too, in that generation, kids were featured less prominently, right? That generation had a little bit more of the kids should be seen, not heard phenomenon, which I'm not saying is good or I'm endorsing, but what I am saying is that the couple was really a priority. But what happens nowadays, the kids are running the show. They're running their parents all over the place. They're setting the agenda. The kids are writing the rules, right? That's ass backwards in a functional, adaptive, healthy family system, especially if you want an enduring and sustainable and satisfying marriage. Even if you love kids and you want to have kids, and then you actually have them and realize that is what you wanted to do and all the things, right? It is still the case that the kids should not be running the show. That's not good for the parents. It's not good for the kids either, by the way. But if you put the marital dyad in the front row as the priority, that is a higher predictor of longevity and sustainability for marriage than anything else.
Well, and where it's also the best way I can think of to model for your children what a good relationship looks like. Well
said. Absolutely. Yep. Okay. Number 3, couples conduct a weekly 20-minute relationship meeting with an active agenda. Look at the look on your face.
With an active agenda?
An active agenda.
What the hell is an active agenda?
I'm so glad you asked.
Okay.
Yeah. So this is something that I've really come up with as a part of the rule framework.
It's very unlike you to come up with something.
Yeah, right.
Like that.
Yeah, true. When you're trying to get people to move from theory to application, when it comes to the framework, when it comes to the rules, it's really good to get reps doing something and practice the application of it in the wild, right? Especially when we're learning to do rule negotiations, rule proposals. And it's also the case, and I think I talked about this a few weeks ago. I read it. Can't remember the source now, but I read it several months ago. And it's, the average American married couple in the course of 1 week spends a total of 90 minutes in 1 week speaking to one another. And that's it, which is shocking.
90 minutes.
90 minutes. That's how busy everyone is, especially with kids and running all over the place and having all your other things going on, right?
That's active communication. That can't include listening to her. Yes, dear. Yes. Dear.
I didn't say placating.
That's a whole other count.
That's a different metric altogether. But yeah, no, it's active dialogue, active communication. And so check if the marriage relationship is in the front row and it's our top priority, then it demands specific attention, right? And within that, if you have a deliberate and intentional time set aside where we're going to sit down and we're going to really talk about what's going on in our relationship, and we can actually have an active agenda, meaning something comes up during the course of the week, we can set it for discussion on the agenda so that we don't forget about it, and so that we can prioritize what we want to talk about in this meeting, especially if we don't have a whole lot of time. But it creates a situation where there's an open dialogue of assessment of how things are going, how are we doing with this rule that we just negotiated? How is our satisfaction with this? Or even just taking time to talk to and with one another about things important to one another, having that focused, engaged thing without all the other distractions that beset us in life, whether it's kids or career or the news or what's going on. A relationship meeting where we're talking about the status of the relationship and the satisfaction of the relationship, and a space where we can actually do a rule proposal and negotiation if we need to do one. That's so very valuable and important.
I think I'm going to hang that on the fridge.
A lot of people do, by the way, but go ahead.
Like, oh, you remember that shit you just said?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's going on the fridge.
Yep.
Oh, that one's going on the fridge.
Yeah, or think about it. If something happens
Usually
on
what
the
I would say, but yeah.
Right. If something happens on the fly,
Yeah.
right? We're in and out of the door and taking Timmy to soccer and Jenny to ballet, and something happens. It really may not be the time or the place to have any kind of discussion about that thing, right? But then we also know that bitterness and resentment are not going to start mounting because of our emotional suppression and not talking about it and just trying to deal with it, cope with it, whatever. Now there's a forum, and there's a place, and there's a space, and there's a time where, guess what? You can be heard, you can be understood, you can negotiate something, you can really discuss something, really resolve something. And that's of extraordinary value.
You have the thinking of like not going to bed angry?
Yeah.
Only ask because we're talking, and I know exactly what you're saying as far as being really intentional to practice the negotiating and talking through some of these things.
Yeah.
I'm assuming if it's big shit, don't put it off. But what are your thoughts on that?
It's a good question. I know that that's classic marriage advice. I don't know that it's realistic. I also think that anger is okay to experience. I think in modern society, if someone has anger or anxiousness or whatever, we say, oh, that we need to get rid of that right away. That's bad. And no, I don't think it's bad. I think it just is. The question is, what do you do with it? If you know, for example, that there is a time where you're going to be better positioned for a good discussion, it's okay to go to bed angry or upset or mad because you know that eventually resolution is available. If, on the other hand, you're going to bed mad with the belief that resolution is unavailable, or that you just have to sort of deal with it, or if you're afraid to talk about it or confused about how to talk about it, then I don't think it's good. So it really depends upon the structure of the system and the rules that are in play. People who go to bed angry without that mechanism are sowing the seeds for bitterness and resentment that ultimately will allow the reaper to start showing up in the relationship. But if you're going to bed and you're upset about something, you're mad about something, you're scared about something, and you know that there's some sort of mechanism to be able to deal with that at a more appropriate time, maybe when you're more rested, more fresh, when you've had a minute to get some perspective generated instead of being in the heat of the moment, I think it's okay to do that.
Somewhat along these lines, I know that what's pretty new to me, one of the things that my lady does is oftentimes she doesn't want to really get into shit when it's heated or we're upset. She'd rather calm down and be intentional with her words, and rather than sort of just be responding out of anger or something, which took me a minute to figure out. But I think it's quite smart.
Yeah.
Because I can pop off and say some dumb shit sometimes.
Yeah, me too. And
shockingly.
And mine's better at that than I am. I'm the person who I can experience a little bit of anxiousness in the absence of a resolution, and I don't like that because my prohibitive thinking kicks in and I become afraid that it's going to be swept under the rug or dismissed or not discussed further. And then I'm concerned that it's going to continue happening because we haven't really dealt with it. But at the same time, when you're at that level of intensity, you're often not going to have the most productive or understanding conversations. So like you have had to learn to allow things to unfold over a longer period of time and not necessarily approach it with a sense of urgency. But there's a balance to be had there between managing a sense of urgency and ensuring that it is dealt with in an appropriate time frame and with the appropriate level of attentiveness and thoroughness. Because if that's not there, then it's just placating or dismissing or avoiding. And that's not a good strategy for anyone.
Well, like with most things, there's probably not a hard, fast rule on how to do it, but some good principles to think from.
Right. And really, that's what this is. When we're talking about this podcast, these things that we're talking about are results and outcomes of certain rules. So you can write all kinds of different rules to get here. But if your relationship contains these features, then you're winning. You're doing really well. Yeah. Okay. Here's one that I've learned over time that I appreciate because of its simplicity and its near universality. And again, the presumption here is we're talking about heterosexual married couples, but it's not limited to only that, but that's sort of the context in which we're having this discussion. And so the fourth principle is regardless of negotiated rules and variation in needs at a meta level, women need to feel loved and protected. Men need to feel needed and respected. They're different needs. But if those needs are being met at that meta level, then you're going to have some pretty successful, long-lasting relationships. The woman feels loved and protected. Man feels needed and respected. When those things are threatened or when those needs go unmet, we're in a reaper situation pretty rapidly. But it's really useful to understand that despite all the complexity in people and the evolutionary change and the idiosyncratic features of every marriage relationship, there is no golden rule for any marriage relationship, really. But this one is as close to it as we can get. If, in other words, you could put it in a different way, if you fuck everything else up, or if you forget everything else, remember that your woman needs to be loved and protected. Your man needs to be needed and respected. If you can get those two things right and do that consistently, you're going to be in really good shape.
Yeah. You hear a lot about love languages and shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I remember the first time we talked about that too. Because I went through some shit therapy with the love language thing, but previously.
I bet.
Anywho, the importance of respect for a man, I don't think that you could emphasize that anymore. And I think it's just completely universal. I've never, nobody's ever said, yeah, no, I don't need to be respected.
Right.
As men ever.
Right.
If you're listening, ladies, and there's nothing, and the opposite of that obviously would then clearly be true. There's nothing more damaging that you could do than disrespect your guy.
Yep.
That shit hurts.
Yep. And for you men out there, protect your woman, love your woman. And you can do that when you're mad, when you're sad, when you can always do that and should. And for the women out there, absolutely. Your man needs to know that you need him and that you respect him. He needs that. And men are going to have a really hard time articulating that need. Women often have it's all too easy to trespass upon that and do disrespect or act like they don't need them. which is a really great way for a man to feel dismissed and dissatisfied and irrelevant and all of that, right?
Mm-hmm.
But same thing true for women. You know, women, whether they want to advocate for this need or not, when a woman feels loved and protected, safe,
Mm-hmm.
that matters almost more than anything else, especially when it's real and it's consistent.
You know, before we jumped on this podcast, we spent some time talking about environments and things, creating environments for different people. When I think about protected, I'm thinking about as a man, our ability to create an environment that is absolutely safe.
Yes.
Which means way more than just protecting from harm, but I think there's so many different ways that we can create an environment of safety for that someone feels all the time.
Oh my gosh.
Regardless
yes.
of circumstance.
Yeah. And so when you asked earlier about going to bed angry, right?
Mm-hmm.
A woman is going to likely feel scared if she recognizes her man is angry.
Mm-hmm.
And if you have anger management problems or emotional regulation problems and you just let the moose loose and let your fucks fly,
Mm-hmm.
then we're not going to feel protected and we're certainly not going to feel loved.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that doesn't mean you're not allowed to be angry. Of course, you're allowed to be angry. You're going to be angry. And anger is about other things, as we've discussed.
Mm-hmm.
But the manner in which you deal with that and speak to it and try to do what you can to manage it effectively is
Mm-hmm.
crucial, because otherwise it's going to trespass upon and threaten a woman's belief and need that she's protected. Because how could she be protected if she's scared?
I think I might actually have a tip on this one.
I love it. Bring it.
Want me to give you a tip?
I love it.
About how to do this one?
Yeah, give me a tip.
Get ready.
Daddy likes tips.
The tips are good. So, one of the things that I learned pretty early on with my kids, but I've now realized that it applies to my partner too, is in the middle of conflict, and certainly if you're going to bed angry, one of the things I used to do with my kids is I'd walk into their room and I'd walk up to them, grab them by the head, kiss them on the forehead, turn around and walk out.
Mm-hmm.
Wouldn't say a word.
Mm-hmm. Wouldn't
do anything. It's like we're in it right now. It's whatever, but I'm still going to love on you for a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And to be able to do that with your partner, even if you're absolutely just fucking pissed off and you're whatever, if you go in there without saying a fucking word, kiss them on the forehead and turn around and walk the fuck out, it creates that environment of safety.
Mm.
You don't have to deal with it anymore. You don't have to get into it. You're not starting anything. You don't need anything back.
Mm.
It's just a simple way to communicate.
Mm.
In the middle of this, you're safe. We'll get through it, but I don't want to fucking talk to you right now.
I absolutely love this so much.
It's a good one.
It's a great tip, and I'm gonna implement it post haste because I could do a better job of that myself, and I think we all can. Well, you said the magic phrase, it's an effective way to communicate. And to me, it's consistent with another thing that's on this list. We're going to get there. There's what a person says and there's what a person does. Mm-hmm. And this is one of those do things that says everything in that moment. Mm-hmm. It's going to be okay. Mm-hmm. You know, I love that. And it's a way to express love and protection for sure. Yeah. And
I think it also works for the person doing it too. It's a way to still engage the relationship in a positive way, which also made me feel good too. Not only did I know what I was communicating, but it gave me a sense of safety and peace because I knew that it was an attempt to keep the relationship strong.
Yeah.
Without working shit out yet.
Right.
But it's still there.
Well, and to kind of reclaim some control over what feels like an out of control situation, right? Like we're going to arrest the fall. We're going to stop the damage, right? and do something that is the initiation of healing and resolution.
Well, and I think it's especially good if you're the mad one.
Yeah.
Otherwise,
that
it'll
makes
come off
sense.
like an apology,
Right.
or something, and that may not be what you're doing.
Right.
But in the midst of your anger, to be able to do that.
I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's fantastic. It's a great way to, like, on the ground, pragmatically operationalize this rule or this principle. It's a wonderful thing to do, and either party can do it. Love it. Great tip.
You're welcome.
Right on. Nicely done. Drop the mic there. Okay. Returning just for a moment to satisfaction, and I mentioned having those get like 16 satisfaction questions I do when I have an initial workup with someone. Of all of those questions, so satisfaction questions that I ask, there's one that in my, again, this is anecdotal experience clinically over time, right? But there's one satisfaction question that tells me high probability of longevity versus low probability of longevity.
Oh, shit.
There's one question that tells me.
There's one question that does this.
There is. And it stands out like, okay.
Okay.
And the question is, how satisfied are you with your ability to express to your partner needs, wants, desires, fantasies, preferences? When a person is highly dissatisfied with that, you've got high conflict.
Now, wait, you said, how satisfied are you with your own ability to communicate that?
I did. I did. Tell me why you're picking up on that, which is really great. Tell me why you're picking up on that.
Because it pushes back against the whole idea that they have to make me happy. They got to meet my needs. They, without me saying it likely, they should know. Or fucking whatever.
Yeah, exactly. Because whose responsibility is it to ensure need fulfillment? It ain't your partner's. It's yours. And to do that, you have to be able to advocate for the need, which is what we call a proposal, which means you have to know that the need exists, which is needs identification, which is why you have to have self-awareness to do relationship awareness. But if you don't feel comfortable or confident being expressive about needs, wants, desires, and fantasies, preferences, then that's on you and or on the relationship, and how the partner shuts that down, doesn't respond positively, is dismissive, or whatever it may be. But if your own satisfaction with your ability to do that is low, then we've got trouble. If it's high, and it is in successful relationships, that's one of the reasons why. Because we don't have fears being able to be expressive about what we want, need, desire, fantasize about, or prefer.
So let me draw a connection here, and you tell me your thoughts.
I love when you do this.
What was the exact language you said when you feel confident in expressing your needs?
Comfortable and confident.
Comfortable and confident? Would you say that men are... they feel comfortable and confident when they feel respected?
Yes.
And when they feel disrespected?
They do not.
They do not.
Yep.
See, so it is a fucking women's issue. Kidding. No, that shit, man. That's some deep stuff. That's like some core stuff of my past life for sure.
Yeah.
Fuck's sake.
And trust me, if a woman doesn't feel protected or loved, she doesn't feel comfortable or confident being expressive of her own needs, wants, desires, fantasies,
She's not gonna do that shit unless she feels safe.
Not at all, unless
safe.
she feels safe.
Look at you.
How about them apples? So of all the ways that we assess satisfaction in a marital relationship, this one is the biggest predictor. Hands down.
I will say that, and maybe it was just me, I was so ignorant in my own needs identification and ability to communicate that, negotiate, and understand my rules and all of it. I think that part of it, not an excuse, was total ignorance on that process.
Absolutely.
Which sounds kind of a weird thing to say, but
maybe now it sounds like a weird thing to say in view of everything you know and you've learned.
Mm-hmm.
But prior to that, no. And I'll explain just one of 1,000 reasons why that may be the case.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people have this belief that, well, I shouldn't have to explain that. They should already know.
Mm-hmm.
Or if they loved me, they would do this.
Mm-hmm.
Right? No. No. It is your responsibility to be explicit and direct and honest about what you need, want, desire, prefer, right?
Mm-hmm.
It then is a matter or a function of negotiation between the two of you about how we get there. But if you're making the assumption that this person or your partner should know, while you sit there mute on your ass doing nothing, not ever going to happen.
We went through this really early, but I remember being in a place where I didn't even feel like I should have needs.
Yes, I remember you saying that.
And a lot of that came from the church.
Yeah.
And sort of this sacrificial thing, and more of him, less of me, kind of these phrases and things, that you hear, which for me sort of meant like, really just kind of stuffing my own needs down and things, and not being a burden on somebody, and all this other bullshit.
All your prohibitive thinking.
All of it.
Yeah. And as we said before in previous podcasts, actually, we are trained and socialized to think prohibitively and then rewarded when we do. So if we say, I don't want to be needy, other people say, good for you. Mm-hmm. Don't be needy. You're not supposed to be needy.
That's considerate of you.
That sure is nice.
That's
what
loving.
A relief that you don't have any needs. Oh, fuck. We are really screwed, right? Or I don't want to be a burden. Oh, well, aren't you a wonderful, lovely person? You're so thoughtful that you don't want to be right? And that's wonderful example of how those prohibitive thoughts really write bad rules. And let me remind everybody about the truth and reality of the human condition. Every human being is in possession of needs. Maslow called it a hierarchy of needs. There's nothing wrong with possessing needs. But society likes to teach, or as you would say, the system likes to teach, that you're bad or selfish or indulgent or whatever if you have needs, or that you're high maintenance or whatever. It's all horseshit. Everybody has needs. And so the important thing is own that. Be honest about that. Give yourself permission to possess it in the first place, because there is no way in hell we get to need fulfillment unless we do needs advocacy. There's no way in hell we do needs advocacy until we do needs identification. And if we can't do identification because we think we're not supposed to be possession of needs in the first place, we are fucked from the very beginning. And then what? It's a happy accident when your needs get met.
I actually love the term needs advocacy. Like the term advocate for your own needs, I think is the most appropriate, because there's so much. You're not just asking for it. You're not just repeatedly asking for it.
That's right.
Or something, but like to advocate for your own needs.
That's right.
Anyway, it's a good word. Nice word.
It is. And so let's spend a little bit more time with that, because asking means requesting permission. Will I get authorization? Is this okay?
Asking for authorization.
Right. Advocating
Can you go out
is
this weekend? I need to ask for authorization.
right. Yeah. I need to get clearance. What's the password, please? Identify all the shapes in this picture that look like, right? Yeah. Advocacy is, listen, the needs are here. I have them. I'm not apologizing for having them.
Mm.
Let's talk about how we can meet them both ways. And
It's a positive pursuit.
It is.
Yeah.
And it's also not a decree, right? Advocacy is different from that too. And that needs advocacy is what we in the framework call a proposal. That's a rule proposal. When you make a proposal, what you're literally doing is advocating for a need, or in the satisfaction question, need, want, desire, fantasy, preference.
Mm-hmm.
It all kind of fits together in one mosaic of things. I just call them needs.
Mm-hmm.
But it's our responsibility to advocate for them. It's kind of like an analog to this, maybe the confusion I think that people sometimes have with regard to the idea of boundaries. It is our responsibility to establish the boundaries. But a lot of people think that others should just know where the boundaries are. And you cannot hold another person accountable for a boundary trespass until you have identified and declared where the fuck the boundary is. That's on you. That's on us. Then, after having established that that boundary is there, and only then can you hold the person accountable for a trespass. And the same thing is true of needs. You cannot make the assumption that if your partner loves you, they should know what your needs are, right? It is your responsibility to understand what those are and to advocate for them. And within that sphere of responsibility, our teaching is let's make sure also that those are affirmative in nature as opposed to prohibitive. Because if that why is prohibitive, then it's fruit from the poisonous tree, and we're going to write really bad rules that are going to inhibit satisfaction and certainly create difficulty in the relationship.
Mm-hmm. Love it.
Love it. Okay. 6 out of 10. For those couples that are really, really successful, there's zero discrepancy between words and behaviors. Zero discrepancy between what's said and what's done. So what does that mean? It means that a person's word matters. It means that there's trust. It means there's reliability. If my partner says they're going to do something, then they do it. But if my partner says they're going to do something and they don't do it, mistrust then starts coming in. Questions about reliability, about safety, about respect, about all kinds of things start to creep in. So those couples that have been successfully together for a really long time, there is no discrepancy between those two things. And if you recall in the previous podcast, when we were talking about the Reaper, one of the ways that the Reaper shows up is when there is a discrepancy between words and behaviors, between what's said and what's done.
This makes me think of when I say I'm going to take out the trash.
Mm-hmm.
And I forget.
Mm-hmm.
I know. Slightly different, I think.
Slightly, but in the same
I hope. It's
ballpark.
different. It's different, David.
It is different.
It's very different.
It is.
Heidi, it's different.
I don't know. I have a feeling she's going to be like, it's not all that different.
She doesn't listen to this.
Yeah. Well, we both have that too. Yeah. So endeavor to create an alignment and a consistency between what you say and what you do. When you do that, you honor your own word, which matters hugely, but you also honor your partner. And every time there's a discrepancy between the two, you dishonor yourself and you dishonor your partner.
Mm-hmm. And I know excuse me. I know I made fun about the trash and stuff. And it seems like this idea is probably more of like a character trait than a one-off scenario or forgetting or all that kind of shit.
Yeah.
You know, it seems like for somebody who sort of does what they say, it's usually all the time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, yes. I mean, we're also talking now about theme and pattern, not one-offs, because everyone forgets.
Yeah.
Everyone makes mistakes, right? But if there's a generic or general, I should say, theme where one partner can say of the other, they do what they said that they were going to do. They honor their word. They honor their commitments, right? Then we've got something really important and really special because we have trust. When that's not happening and there's a discrepancy between what's said and what's done, there can be a betrayal of that trust. And whether it's occurring multiple times on small things or medium things or large things, it almost starts to not matter because then it's about the principle of it as opposed to the idiosyncratic moment of I forgot or sometimes I forget to take out the trash.
Well, and it seems like this type of trust is like a pillar of creating a safe environment.
Absolutely.
Otherwise, you're wondering what the hell's going to happen. I know what he said, but who the hell knows what they're going to do? And
right,
uncertainty, mistrust,
right,
unsafety.
Yeah, and it's a really rapid way to feel disrespected when you trust someone's commitment or someone's word, and then they breach that or violate that. Yeah.
It's crazy. All this shit is so intertwined.
Always. It always is. One affects the other, whether it's positively or negatively, adaptively, maladaptively. There is that integration always. Yeah. Nice point. Yeah. Okay.
You know what it is? It should just make sense.
God forbid. Right?
You know, like I mean, you hear, it's like that feeling of like when you're stuck in that place of like feeling like just confused. Or like, relationships are difficult and confusing and I don't fucking understand and all these things.
Yep.
That's just ignorance.
Yes.
Which is okay.
Right.
There's a great solution for it.
Yep.
This podcast.
Yes. Like, subscribe, and share.
Because there really is just some theories and concepts that make it all make sense.
Yes. It doesn't.
It's mind-blowing.
It is. Human beings are inordinately complex. And
especially women.
Yeah. Men are a little bit more simple creatures in some ways. And in some ways, women are more simple. It depends on what the issue is. But human beings are inordinately complex. Relationships can be complex. Problems can be complex. That doesn't mean that what's unavailable to us is simple, pragmatic, straightforward solutions. This is the operational definition of parsimony, right? The most parsimonious theory is the one that is simple. It's the keep it simple, stupid principle. And it really is simple. So remember, appropriate to acknowledge all the complexity that's in this. And that complexity can be overwhelming and daunting. But just because the issue is complex, it doesn't mean the solution has to be. The best solutions, the most sustainable solutions, the most enduring ones are the ones that are simple. They're pragmatic because they're honest and they're real, right? So, yes.
I thought parsimony was where a priest lived.
That's a parish. Isn't it?
There's another word for it, I think.
Oh, you're right.
Parsonage? It's almost parson. It's
almost something like that. Yeah. Yeah. I know what you're talking about.
I'm going to have to Google where that word priest lives.
Yeah. Thank goodness we can do that.
Hopefully it's not near a school.
Yeah. Parson. subject for another podcast. Yeah. Another word for parsimony, maybe elegance or economy, economical. Yeah. So simple, right? You guys can do this. You know, that's the point. And that's the point of this podcast.
Yeah.
You can do this. Don't be intimidated or afraid or anxious about the complexity when you know that the capital T truth is that solutions are simple.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And it's fucking empowering when you can see what's going on and know what's happening.
Yes.
And likely it's our own fucking fault. And it's that's even better when you know that and you can see it coming, or even directly after. Like, just that feeling of not knowing how to fix something sucks.
It's awful. And just to put a modifier on what you just said, when you said it's our own fucking fault.
Which usually is mine, yeah.
Well, it's the fault of the thinking, the idea, or the rule, not you. That's an important qualification to put on this, because so many people think it is them or it is their partner, and it isn't. It's the goddamn rules. It's the concept that's flawed, not the person. It's the idea that's flawed, not the person. It's the rule that is flawed, not the person. So when things are fucking up, the source of the fuck is there, not the person. Right? Okay.
That's actually a very important distinction.
It's a very important distinction because it goes to our principle, A, that all people are doing the best they can at all times with what they have to work with. B, always and forever separate person from behavior, person from idea, right? And C, relationships are all about the rules, and conflicts are all disputes regarding those rules. That's the empowering thing. When you know this, you're empowered because you can do something about the rules. You can't do something about the personality of your partner. And even if you could, I don't know it would be a good idea to do that. Really and truly, the source of empowerment is understanding that conflict is a rule dispute and knowing how to find what those rules are and navigate that. And the solutions for that are simple, even when the rules or the rule disputes can be rather complex.
The first one you said of people are doing the best they can with what they got, basically.
At their current level of understanding, yep.
We don't talk about that much. That's a good one.
What do you like about that one? You're right. We don't talk about it as often as the other. It's one of the principles of the framework. We don't talk about it as often. What are you grabbing a hold of there?
Well, I think that you remember when I told you I came back from Italy, and there was just this total sense of how fucking angry Americans are.
Yes. So interesting.
I think so much of that just comes from a place of not recognizing that people are just doing their best.
Yep.
Because I think you can overcome so much anger if you actually, or entitlement, fucking all. I mean, so much shit you can overcome if you give somebody that type of I don't even know if it's benefit of the doubt, but it's recognizing what's real.
It is recognizing
people don't wake up
what's real.
Being a dick,
right.
Usually,
right. Nor do they aspire to engage in dickishness. Right. It just kind of happens. But I think, also to your point, it's a distinctively American thing in sort of the ethos to immediately respond to the principle all people are doing the best they can at their current level of understanding, to say, no, they're not. You can do better. Everyone can do better, right? And so what is that? That is an immediate judgment, right? But when you think about it, you mentioned the word ignorance earlier, and you said, ignorance is okay. Ignorance is okay up until the point that we've acknowledged that it exists, and then it needs a remedy, right?
Well, it's okay because it's so easy to fix, is what I meant.
That too.
Yeah.
That too. But when I say all people are doing the best they can at all times at their current level of understanding, what I'm saying is, in order for things to get better or for us to get better, our level of understanding needs to get better, which is why we say of the Framework podcast, if you change your thinking, you can change your life. Well, what's getting better is your thinking. And when you're applying these principles and you're applying the rules and you're applying the framework, right, your level of understanding continues to increase. But yes, it is the case. And this is where acceptance comes in, that we are all doing the best we can at all times at our current level of understanding. And that's one of those principles that Dick gave me a long time ago, my mentor, Dick Grant, psychiatrist for 50 years, dear friend, no longer with us. And he was given that principle by his mentor, George Saslow, at the University of Oregon College of Medicine way back in the day.
It's a good one.
It is a good one.
We should talk about that one. We should do a podcast on that one.
Well, then let's do the next podcast on that one.
All right.
Let us know what you think. What do you want to
put it on your agenda for the shit we're going to
I'll
talk
put it
about,
on the agenda for our relationship meeting.
Yeah.
Okay. Number 7. It's an extension of put your authentic foot forward, not your best foot forward. And that is acceptance and honesty or truth in successful relationships are paired with authenticity. Okay. Acceptance and authenticity paired together. That's what allows us to put our authentic foot forward and not our best foot forward. The reason why this matters in successful relationships is because we're not trying to or thinking we need to impress anyone or to be impressive or to become something that we think our partner needs or wants us to become in order to be respected, in order to be safe, right? If you present yourself in an authentic way that contains that honesty and truth, and we're doing acceptance, which we understand from the podcast is acknowledging that reality exists. That's what acceptance is. When those two things kind of come together and we have that authenticity, we've got sustainability and longevity in a relationship. So put another way, a way that's familiar with you from previous podcasts, never, ever, 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 ever put your best foot forward. Only put your authentic foot forward. The most successful couples are the ones that are authentic, real, honest, right? And notice a great way to get there is to advocate for needs, wants, desires, fantasies, preferences in that manner, because that tells the truth about who we are and what we need and what we want. So you got to own that from a place, yes, of courage, but of authenticity. And when you do that, you honor yourself, you honor your partner. When you put your best foot forward and you're trying to be impressive, you're dishonoring yourself. And you're going to dishonor the partner, because what you're essentially doing is deceiving the partner that you're one thing when you're really something different.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's a straightforward one.
That's a straightforward one. All right. 3 more. 8, 9, and 10. Here's number 8. Most successful couples commit to understanding without the necessity of agreement.
Okay.
So this is what allows, for example, there to be different perspectives, different opinions, and we can understand one another, but we don't have to be in agreement with one another. And you don't need to have agreement in order to have understanding. A lot of people corrupt this, and it becomes like our podcast on coded language, if you guys remember that. A lot of people say, you don't understand me. And what they're really saying is, I'm upset that you disagree with me. I can understand you very well. I can understand your position, your argument, whatever it is. I don't have to agree with it to understand it. So having understanding without this rule, without the necessity that there be agreement, is one of the things that successful couples do all the time. And I hear it all the time from successful couples.
Well, clearly you don't understand if you don't agree with me, Dave. Clearly.
That's it. Yeah.
Right?
Right. Yeah. Or if you don't agree with me, you don't love me. You don't respect me. You don't get me. I get you. I just don't fucking agree with you. And that's supposed to be okay.
Yeah.
It really is. We don't have to be the Bobbsey twins intellectually, right? Or morally or principally or whatever. All people, in addition to wanting acceptance, want to be understood, properly understood. But properly understood and agreed with are two completely different things.
Well, we live in a world where it's impossible to disagree without being divided.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So this is foreign, I think, to certainly probably young people growing up in this fucking shit show of a place.
Right.
So I think that hopefully that comes through loud and clear here, that disagreement is okay, and acceptance and disagreement can coexist.
Yep. And this, honestly, this is one of the first places I start when I do premarital counseling, whether it's younger people, middle-aged people, older people. This is an essential thing in premarital, so that we don't fall into the trap that we're a good fit and we're a good match if we agree on everything. Mm-hmm. Well, good fucking luck with that, right? Mm-hmm. Because then what we're saying is you are a monolith as a couple, and you basically lose your individuality and your identity, and you subscribe to the party platform, right? Mm-hmm. But you know what? When that happens, someone's got to function as the whip, the party whip in politics, get everyone in line, right? And then what happens when someone's thinking changes or their experiences lead them to acquire a different belief or what have you? They evolve over time. Then what? Mm-hmm. If you have this rule that says I can only be understood if I'm agreed with, you're in big trouble, right? But you can still be respected. You can still be understood, appreciated, all the things without the necessity of agreement.
Well, again, if our core foundation, if you will, of the whole thing is safety and respect.
Yeah.
And a conversation it never loses that.
Right.
Regardless of agreement or disagreement or whatever.
Right.
And the way you talk about something you disagree with, it's quite possible.
Yep. Absolutely. Absolutely.
That's really fucking freeing too for both people. Honestly,
speak more to that, because I agree. Tell me why you said that.
Well, it keeps. I think if you have a fear that you can't speak up, you can't say your feelings, you can't talk about this belief or this whatever the hell it is that you know you're going to get some pushback on. That it creates isolation. If you can't talk about it, communicate it or something, because I can't fucking talk about this. She's going to go to that place.
Right.
Or something. She's going to lose her mind.
Right.
It's totally divisive and something you can't connect over now. It's something you can't talk about.
Yep.
And if you do, it's disrespectful and,
all the things.
It's the opposite of everything we were talking about.
It is the opposite of everything we're talking about. And then when we go back to that satisfaction question that I said is the number one predictor, there's where that one shows up. I'm going to be very low on the satisfaction scale, comfort and confidence, expressing those things to partner when that rule of the necessity of agreement is in play. Mm-hmm. Similarly, If I'm talking about what my needs are and my partner's talking about how I shouldn't have those needs, right? There we go.
Been there, done that one.
Yeah, me too. We all have, right? Yeah. So commit to seeking an understanding without the necessity of agreement. Paramount. 2 more. Number 9. Successful couples have integrated and independent lives. Okay. So this is not an either or proposition. It's a both and, like everything else that exists in nature except for pregnancy, right? The most successful couples have both. They have this integrated life as a couple. They have an independent life. Each one has an independent life. And they coalesce. They're both permitted. They're both allowed. They're both invested in. That's an essential feature for successful, enduring relationships. It can become intensely problematic, especially when one partner has an independent and integrated life and the other partner does not have an independent life. It can be really problematic when a partner has too much of an independent life and not enough of an integrated life. It can be really problematic when both partners are deeply integrated and no one's got an independent life. So it's a both and situation. We need integration and independence, and the balance thereof is a function of the values of the participants in the relationship. So what I always say about the framework is that it's value free, meaning it's not my values that I'm teaching. I'm giving a framework and everyone's plugging their values into it. So each person's sense of integration and independence is their own. What I'm saying is have both and realize that the possession of both is not at all antagonistic. It's complementary. People can think that a partner's independent life is a threat to integrated life. Not so much. What are you thinking?
I'm just going through my previous marriage. So, well, in so many of these different things, but it was interesting with that one is that I don't think either one of us had an independent life, but then we also didn't even really have a together life. We just had this life, mostly centered around the kids, and we already kind of talked about that one too. But it seemed like it was a weird dynamic where there was not a lot of any of it.
Yeah.
Which is weird.
Yeah. And that's kind of one of those situations. It's more common than not where, everything's in the front row and nothing's in the front row. Right. We don't invest in ourselves to any significant degree. We're not investing in one another to any significant degree. We're just kind of going through the motions and doing all the things we think that we're supposed to be doing.
Handling life.
Like
the business of life.
Yeah. And being, one of my favorite phrases, busy. We're so busy. Fuck you. No one's that busy.
Yeah.
It's this function of priorities, not busy. Yeah. So integrated and independent lives, calibrated as you see fit. And remember, again, dynamic, not static. So that configuration or that ratio of independent and integrated, it's going to evolve and shift over time, right? That's okay. At times there's going to be more integration. At times there may be more individuation. As long as there is a negotiated balance between the two and there's the presence of both, then we're good. So it's okay if it ebbs and flows and evolves over time. That's natural. That's normal, right? But the inherent balance is important. Okay, and finally, number 10. The best couples have a conflict management system in place so that they know how to argue and fight well or productively. So this is not one that I have taught or even necessarily endorse, to be honest. But it's one I heard in one of those spinal cord stimulator evaluations when I was talking to this guy who'd been married for 35 years. And he said something that I thought was really fascinating. And what I liked about it was they have, that is, he and his wife have a system for conflict management that works for them, which was this. He's like, if we're arguing about something longer than 10 minutes, it means we disagree with one another so much we probably shouldn't be together.
10 minutes.
Yeah.
Wow.
So now he's talking about like a full-on fight, right? But the idea was, if we're arguing that much, or if we can't resolve an argument in about 10 minutes, then we got multiple problems going on, and that's making me question whether or not we really should be doing this at all.
Holy cow.
That's what was my response too, right? But I thought about it quite a bit, and I thought, well, that's an interesting system if they both agree to it, because what does it contain? What does it also infer or imply?
That we're 10 minutes away from divorce?
Or we're going to put a cap on this. We're going to fight like hell for 10 minutes. But at the end of the day, we still love each other. We're still married. We're not going to, let this go any further and, lead into other things. So yeah, let's fight. Let's fight for 10 minutes. But after that, what's the point of fighting? Because if we need to fight longer than that, then that means we're in a different place. But I know that we're not. So yeah, we'll fight about it for 10 minutes. And then after that, we're not going to fight about it anymore.
That's not where I took that. Is that where, did you talk that through?
Yeah, that's where he took it.
That's where he was.
That's where he was.
Huh.
Yeah. So, and I thought like you did, geez, high stakes fighting, like be careful about what you fight with,
Yeah.
But really his principle was, do we really have something that's worth fighting about longer than 10 minutes? If you really think about it. Or is this one of those things that a week from now ain't going to matter all that much? Really not that big of a deal. Certainly not worth us tearing each other to shreds and ripping each other apart. So is it really that big that it requires us fighting for more than 10 minutes? I thought that was interesting. It certainly generates perspective.
Yeah.
Now, again, not something I necessarily endorse, not something that I recommend, but my point is that he said that one of the things that contributed to being married for 35 years was this. And what this is a conflict management system. Now, we're teaching a very different conflict management system, and I'm saying conflict is a good thing. I want you to have a great conflict, because conflict is no more and no less than a rule dispute. And when you know that, it changes everything, right? So that's the system I teach. I think it's something that is more adaptive, more functional for all the reasons and why we do the podcast therapy, all of it, right? But let's say you don't like my system that I'm teaching, or it doesn't work for you, whatever. Fine. Do you, right? But have a system. Have a system in place so that you can fight or argue well and productively. That's the point.
I've never really thought about what my fighting system is.
Interesting.
Do you have a system?
Yeah.
You get it done in 10 minutes?
No.
I do not.
I aspire to get to 10 minutes, let me tell you. And I'm sure Amy does too. But no. But what I like so much about what this guy was teaching me when I was doing this evaluation, because I feel like I'm learning from everybody that I listen to, even if I disagree, is the perspective generating power of that. And I don't believe he was being dismissive either. I don't think he was saying, listen, you're not worth listening to over 10 minutes of conflict. But I think it tended more to, let's do this well and productively. So if we're going to fight, okay, fine, but that's not going to last longer than 10 minutes. After that, we're going to go to a discussion or, whatever the case may be, because it's just not, it can't be that important. That's what I like about it. It's a system.
Yeah.
Now, we all have rules that we play by when we fight, when we argue. One of mine personally is I need to get to resolution, and I need the conflict to be focused, meaning I don't want kitchen sink arguing. I don't want to talk about one thing and then or fight about something and then have it pivot to this or to this or to this, because those are things that are distractions from the main point, and they expand the scope of conflict, right? Though we're very comfortable in the framework with conflict, we don't want to expand the scope of conflict. We want to narrow the scope of conflict. How do we do that? Well, the scope of conflict narrows when we identify with precision and specificity what the rules are that are in play here, right? That's what allows us to be focused in conflict. And a focused conflict is a productive conflict, because now we're at the source, we're at the cause. If you're doing kitchen sink fighting and then people are saying you always and you never and this is this and this, and then all of a sudden all this other stuff starts coming in, then we got a grade A mess.
And I do that a lot. You know what else pisses me off?
Yeah. And while we're at it, motherfucker, right. Yeah. Since this has come off the chain, let's get nasty.
Yeah.
Right. But again, this is another reason why the 20-minute weekly relationship meeting is really good, and having an agenda is really good. Because instead of talking about all the things in a conflict, we talk about one thing at a time. Now, there can be several rules in that one thing at a time. That's fine. Or there's one rule, but we're talking about one rule dispute at a time.
So is that what they put on the agenda, is the rule dispute, not the issue?
Could be anything. Could be. Go ahead.
When I mean, the rule dispute is the issue, but rather than, she said this or he said this.
Yes.
What's the rule dispute or
right.
the rule issue?
Right. This is not an accounting to create the indictment for the reason why your partner is a fucktard. Right. One of my favorite assignments initially in these meetings is to say, okay, I want both of you to independently generate your hypotheses about what rules were in dispute in this particular conflict that we're talking about. And then when we sit down in the meeting, share with one another your findings. Now, here, all of our principles are in play. Separate person from behavior, person from idea, right? So we're not sitting here saying, you did this, you did that, you didn't do this, you failed here, you're an asshole. No, we're saying, I think that I have a rule that says da-da-da-da-da, and I think you have a rule that says da-da-da-da-da, and I think that's what the dispute was. And then the partner can examine their own version of that and say, okay, that's interesting. If it's the same, great. Or the partner can say, okay, well, I think I have this rule and I think you have this rule, and that was the dispute. And oftentimes when that's what occurs, both had happened. But now what's happening? We're understanding one another. We're understanding one another, because the way for me to understand my partner The best way to understand my partner is to know what her rules are, to know what your rules are, and you mine, right? So if there is a rule that a partner identified as a source of the rule dispute and that was unknown to the other person, well, that's great because we just found something that was in the blind arena. Now we know one another better. We understand one another better. And nobody's saying that we got to be in agreement with that rule. But we got to know that it exists because it's exuding an influence upon the participants in the conflict. If you spend your time judging someone else's rules, you're in big trouble. If you spend some time acknowledging and understanding those rules, you have the path to peace, the path to empowerment, the path to resolution. And then collaboratively, we can start adjusting those rules, getting rid of some rules, refining ones, writing new ones, whatever we need as a part of our conflict resolution process, right? But you can't do any of that until you know what the fucking rules are in the first place. So have a system. Go ahead.
That's pretty damn smart. Those are the best words I got for that. That's pretty damn smart.
Oh, I appreciate that. Yeah, I think it is. It's an intelligent way to fight.
I thought I had a system, but it was nowhere near that smart.
Mm.
It was just I would say something stupid and then apologize. So that's usually the start and the end.
That was the alpha and the omega there. Yeah. Well, now you got something different.
I'm kidding. That's actually, I feel ignorance lifting out of my head. I can feel it coming out of my head.
Well, that's a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
Your current level of understanding.
Yeah.
Rising. So
it's good shit.
All right. So folks, if you want to have a long-lasting, enduring, satisfying relationship, which most people do, nobody enters into a relationship looking forward to a fucking divorce. Okay. This is the work. This is the work that you got to do, that you can do. And if you do it, you're increasing the probability of really enjoying and sustaining in the thing that is leading you right now to feelings of happiness and optimism and confidence, right? These are the characteristics of successful marriages. And if you notice that you're already doing some of those things, take a moment to thank yourself, to thank your partner. Say, you know what? I really appreciate that you do this or that we do this. And it's important to acknowledge that. And if you're not doing some of these things and you're seeing an opportunity to add them to your relational experience, then when you do, you're making an investment in the most important decision you ever make in your entire life, which is the person you decide to be with, the person you decide to marry. So enjoy and have fun with it. However you came to us, whether you watched us or listened to us, thank you for doing so. And if you want to take that next step, if you want to learn more about the framework, and if you want to apply it to your life, I'm ready to talk with you and help you. It's time to do something different. It's time to think different so you can change your life.